How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Ariston,
Venurian,
and Volatil, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week, such as it was. But first of all, if you would like to get involved with the show, you can do so quite easily by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can join us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in the Discord, which you can most easily access simply by clicking the link in the show description below this video, or alternatively, you can go to vtwproductions.com and click on the show logo on any of our recent show hosts, and that will take you directly to our Discord server, where you can chat with other listeners to the show and interact with the show hosts at any time.
Yes, indeedy. So on the stream today, I'm playing a bit more Kenshi. This is a game I've had going for a while now, and have actually gotten established and not immediately dead in.
Gotta do that. Gotta do him proud.
Yeah. So, as you can see, I have a lovely corpse pile right here. I've set up in a place where I seem to have this problem of slavers walking to my town, standing around for half an hour, and then suddenly deciding, you know what? All these people would look better in shackles. And they're getting the tar beaten out of them.
Sounds about right.
So,
But doesn't that sort of thing attract bone dogs?
It does. It does. I haven't had too big a problem because I've got a bone dog who just eats a lot of the corpses and the rest I dump in the river. It's very tidy. I also have a...
Ecologically friendly.
Yes. I also have an incinerator over here just for corpses.
There you go. Taking care of the environment. Don't want that pollution all over the ground.
It's a shame I can't use it as fertilizer. Alright. So, yeah, it's a game that's... it's a bit tough, and admittedly I think the engine's a slight bit janky as well. But the developer actually put out a poll the other day and saying, would you rather us work on the sequel or swap this over to Unreal Engine? And everyone just said sequel, so let's go with sequel.
Huh.
So yeah, I stuck a few mods on there, like I said last time I played this, just to unlock additional stuff that really actually should be available in the game at all times, but you know, these things happen. So we'll see what happens. I'm expecting at some point for everything to go completely pear-shaped and my entire colony to be wiped out.
Well, yes, that's how the game goes, isn't it?
That is how this game goes.
Is there actually a goal of any sort?
Yes, without mods you more or less just carve out your own living and get to a point where you become a superpower in your own right by just building bases and recruiting people. There's ruins and things you go and explore to get more late game technologies, and there's a handful of bosses around the place as well. There's a couple of mods though that will change the game so you can go to each of the major factions and take them over.
Is there like a win state of some kind where you could say, I won the game?
I'd say at the point where you're just not dying anymore is the point you win.
So no.
So no. There is one big ruin called the Eye, which essentially has a gigantic sandstorm blowing around it at all times. I can't see it from here, and it's a long way off. But I'm thinking that's the actual endpoint, is once you can get in there and clean that out, that's the point you say you're done. I could be wrong, though. Alright. For weeks, I'm actually going to start with a book this time, and that is Monster Hunter Guardian, which we talked about last week.
MHI 7.
Yes, the other Monster Hunter, which is also worth your time.
Great for turning on when you're playing Monster Hunter. That Monster Hunter International.
I can't do that because I tend to pay more attention to Monster Hunter than Monster Hunter. I know that sounds silly.
MHI or MH?
Yes.
Ah. Okay.
I'll end up focusing on one or the other depending on which one's got more going on at the time.
And then you get it.
And then you get it.
It's fine until I have to start messing around with my decorations or looking at gear to build. And then I have to pause it.
When you have to stop and actually think properly.
I'm gonna have to read because I only have one language channel.
So yeah, I finished Guardian, and it's still very good. It's still a lot of. I wouldn't say it's as fun as some of the previous books because a lot of it is Julie going on a murder rage bender all across Europe.
Don't steal Julia's baby. Yeah, I honestly thought it's probably the weakest Monster Hunter book alongside Alpha, but it's still a fine read.
I prefer it over Alpha, admittedly. Not because
Alpha-
Earl's a bad character, but
yeah.
it's just Alpha just kind of fell flat to me.
The stuff that happens in Alpha is interesting. It's just the tone and the pace of the book is just so off
Yeah,
the whole way through it, and the perspective change doesn't help.
yeah. By this point, we're
Don't
kind of
get-
used to the perspective change, at least.
Yeah, well, we can flip characters, but don't flip to third person if you're writing a first person book series, dummies. Stop that.
Yeah. So yeah, it has a happy ending ish.
Yeah, it also kind of, in a weird way, it nullifies a lot of the cliffhangery stuff at the end of Siege,
Yeah.
where Asog's like, "Owen, I have your baby," but Julie's just like, "Not me, Mr. Trashbags went and got him back. It's K. Owen when he gets back."
Yeah, it's fine. Hi, Owen, you're home. We had an adventure.
It's like, "Oh, so did I. I got buried alive for weeks. And the ghost of my Vietnam dad came back and dug me out."
Yeah, that
That's-
happens.
That's the thing.
Seems to be pretty much the way that Monster Hunter International goes at this point in the series. It's like Owen's accepted his whole role as the chosen one because, yeah, okay, this is happening again. We're just going to go along with it for now.
It's like, oh, the dragon, the management, as in the management of MHI, who funds a lot of their shenanigans, is a dragon called Management, and Owen's just like, oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me that much.
Yeah. I actually like Management as a character,
I do too. I like Management a lot.
even if he does have a weird name.
Management the dragon, the last.
It's
Management.
rather judgmental of you, isn't it?
I can be judgy, it's fictional.
There's
but-
only one of him.
There is only one dragon left, and he calls himself Management. And he's very polite and very proper.
He's very British in the audiobook.
He is very British in the audiobook. So yeah, the series is still going strong. It's still an enjoyable read, except for Alpha. Yeah, having Guardian being kind of a bit of an oddball one, I think works because it is a different character's perspective, and it's a pretty
Siege
different
was a
story.
really heavy book.
Siege is
Siege-
very heavy.
That was our, like, if not the climax for the second act, the mid series climax.
Yeah.
So we're well and truly on the last stretch of where he's going with the myth arc of the story. So, and it was about time for a breather. So I can get behind the slower pace of this particular book, and just it kind of taking a little side story and rolling with it.
Yeah, instead of, big, deep cosmic horror, extended mythology, this is just Julie traipsing across Europe with righteous fire.
And Mr. Trashbags.
And Mr. Trashbags being awesome.
If Mr. Trashbags was not in this book, I would hate this book.
Mr. Trashbags does lift it a lot.
Whenever it starts to get dry or dull, or the writing just starts to feel off, Mr. Trashbags comes in and saves it. And I'm not exaggerating at all.
Everybody needs a pocket Shoggoth.
Like, Cuddle Bunny.
Yes, greetings, clan of Cuddle Bunny.
Must protect Cuddle Bunny's Cuddle Buddy.
A Shoggoth should not be adorable. But
But he is.
he is.
I like how everybody doesn't know that it's a Shoggoth because he's so tiny now.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the little monster with you? Oh, it's Mr. Trashbags.
What is that?
It's just Mr. Trashbags.
So yeah, it is. The whole series is just great. I really enjoy it, except the whole bit with the memoirs series.
And now, Memoirs is, if we're talking about MHI, I've read all the Memoirs books. You've only read the first one, right?
Yeah, I've read the first one and it fell rather flat.
So the reason it's very obvious why it falls flat. The main character is a bad character, but he is a novelty that you won't find very often in fiction, and I think this is worth the read by itself. Just that he is the Mary Sue of all Mary Sues, but he's the only super conservative Mary Sue I've ever seen in fiction. And just the novelty of it the whole time makes it worth it. It's not a good. Memoirs books are not very good. Don't waste your time reading them if you're looking for an objectively good story. But if you lean fairly hard away from the left, you will enjoy them quite a bit and enjoy the novelty.
Yeah, it is a lot. The whole series is a lot of fun when it's not being disturbingly graphic. Sometimes.
Well, he's only really graphic when he's describing the guns.
Oh yeah, when he's describing the guns, it's like a kid on Christmas.
That's pornographic.
Yeah.
Milo, how many laws does Abomination break? All of them.
So yeah,
there's no joke.
No joke.
4 minutes is how long it takes at Siege for him to describe Owen's new gun.
Yes.
On the audiobook. It gets a more in-depth physical flesh out than any of the other characters' physical descriptions. I know what Owen's guns look like better than I know what Owen looks like.
Owen, basically, he's kind of Marcus Phoenix, really.
Yeah, he's just linebacker with a gun.
Yes. With slightly darker skin. That's about it. But, yeah. That's all there really is to say about the series. It's just a lot of fun. It is goofy, and it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much just Machismo, the book.
It's good light reading. Or listening.
Yeah.
You don't really got to engage your brain in high gear to understand Monster Hunter.
No, you don't. Alright, so what else did I do this week? The other Monster Hunter is also what I played, but we'll probably talk about that a bit more in depth as well. But I managed to finally get Brachydios this morning down this morning. I spent a lot of my week faffing around and learning a new weapon, being the hunting horn.
Mm-hmm.
I get to honk things to death, quite literally. Some of the actual blasts you get when you start playing the instrument do ridiculous amounts of stun and stagger damage.
We killed a booger monster this week, Vol. We had to capture one.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, crud. Oh, I'm trying to do. I'm sort of like semi-concentrating like a professional because I'm trying to do the Leap of Faith challenge at Gold Saucer.
Oh, don't do that. Oh no, you're gonna have a bad time doing that.
There's like 50 other people doing it at the same time.
Yeah. It wouldn't be so bad if you could actually see what you were doing.
This is a total clown fiesta.
We didn't die to booger monster, did we, Fall, when we were trying to catch
I don't know who you're talking about.
Brachydios.
Oh, no, neither of us carted.
We exploded a lot, though.
It was very messy.
Yeah,
I really don't like fighting that monster.
He is a very messy fight, and not just because he throws snot all over the place.
I don't mind him so much. Like, he's one of the ones that I feel that the Greatsword doesn't have too much difficulty with, because he sort of fights roughly at the same sort of pace and style as a Greatsword user, so you just have to outplay him, that's all.
He leaves so much no space on the ground that to get up close to him and adjust to what they're doing, playstyle of the dual blades doesn't really work. You kind of have to just swing around and improvise on the fly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's so many boogers around that you're just, I guess I'll just run way over here and wait for him to chill out with the boogers.
Yeah. But once you get going with him, he does have a rather particular rhythm. So you can just move with that, and he's not too big a problem. I had bigger problems with being interrupted rudely.
Yeah. Rathalos will come say hi. in that fight.
I dung bomb him. He just leave the zone. He turn around and immediately come back. He was a very
I've
persistent Rathalos.
I've actually noticed that a lot with Rathalos in particular. That he just doesn't seem to get the message, like, ever.
Yeah. Every monster has a chance to throw that behavior out. They can just turn around and they'll just come back. The exception, of course, being Savage Joe. Savage Joe does it deliberately. That's even if he bothers to fully leave the area at all. So, I'm not looking forward to playing with Savage Joe. He doesn't look particularly fun.
This just in, though. Tsuyaku is still a bro.
Oh, yeah. Total bro.
Yeah, he was definitely a bro.
He knocked that whatever we were fighting out of the air like twice.
Flying balloon, perhaps?
No, it was, what were we fighting? Legiana.
Ah. So, yeah, I'll see how it pans out with the hunting horn, but I am enjoying it so far. It's a very different weapon.
Dude.
You have to doot. You got to get your doot on.
I don't want to get my do on.
It does a very good job of locking up an enemy. If you can get a stagger on them or knock them down, even there's a good chance that you'll get a double knockdown by just whacking him on the noggin with your bladder on a stick. Which, admittedly, does make Vol cranky, because it means he misses his big attack with a greatsword.
The number of those that I've actually managed to get off so far this expansion has been very low.
Yeah. There is one thing I miss the shield with the gun lance. That's at least very nice to have around. But what I don't miss is how Wyvern Spike works. And how monsters have this almost psychic ability just to slightly twitch away from taking it.
It's okay. You can put the beard on Nargacuga, and we can fail to hit despite all of us whacking his head.
Yeah, that was a bit dumb. I don't know how we all managed to fail that hard.
We were all hitting in the direction that explosive was. He just didn't care.
No, he didn't.
I actually haven't fought any other Nargacugas since.
He's if you're going bow, you need to build the Nargacuga set, apparently. It's apparently really good for it.
I've actually got it for my hunting horn set, or at least 3-piece, and the sharpness boost you get is delicious. It is really, really good.
Why would I need sharpness on a bow?
Well, there's an equivalence to an ammo up on ranged weapons. So you get that, I think it's that extra shot.
I see.
So yeah, I'm very much enjoying actually being able to play a little song and suddenly get the that really nice health regen bonus that the Valhazak set gets. I just wish the Glavenus horn didn't sound so awful.
I want to get my Nergigante set again so I can get my stam recovery. I'm so used to playing dual blades with increased stamina recovery that and health regen on hit that I can just keep going to town. But without those two skills, it gets a little rough.
Yeah. There's I seem to have a horrible problem here. There's another horn, or actually a set of horns, which have pretty much universal buffs. The Iron Horns have it, the Dodogama Horns, and I believe the Fulgur Anjanath has it as well, where it's attack boost, defense boost, stamina boost, and health regen, or health boost.
I have settled on T-Greg as my placeholder set until I see an armor set that I'm just like, I need that one.
T-Greg, hey?
Because T-Greg has an awesome 3-piece. It increases the chance for you to get free meal because it gives you more max ranks of free meal. Up to 75%.
Gotta have those free meals.
It's like don't use a consumable or something, isn't it?
Yeah, and it works on any of them, except for Mega Barrel Bombs. I've never seen it proc with those. But,
well, you don't eat those as such, do you?
I guess not.
At least I wasn't under the impression that's what they were for.
You probably shouldn't.
It works in a way that it's just, I love being able to pop ancient potions and have it not get consumed. There's like a good chance it won't get consumed if stuff starts really going bad.
Yeah.
Let's see. My T-Greg said I just logged on, so let's see. Yeah. If I can find it in the gosh darn interface, I still don't. I keep forgetting how the heck this interface works. Yeah, raise the maximum level of the free meal skill. So 75% of the time, you don't consume a consumable with T-Greg set.
Nice.
Dirty Greg.
I'm just going to reload this game. This is going horribly.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Ruin and Nergigante is pretty far along through the game because I still haven't. He's made an appearance by leaving stuff behind so far in the story as I'm up to, but I haven't seen him yet. Just his spines.
Yeah.
It's sort of implied that that Nergigante is their way of them telling if a tasty new Elder Dragon has shown up, because Nergigante will always show up as well.
In this case, time you get a rather shiny Nergigante.
I haven't seen him, so.
I've seen little snippets of video of what Ruin and Nergi does. Aside from being what appears to be generally faster, I'm not sure exactly what his difference is.
Why would they make him even faster?
Like,
he's fast enough.
He gets faster every time he
already-
roars.
Yeah.
we're cutting it close with them Superman dives already. And
Yeah.
that's if you know how to fight him.
So, good times, good times. What other little things did I do this week? Just a little bit of extra Final Fantasy XIV stuff. Just ticked away a bit more at the story. I believe I'm up to the Inverted Tower now, whatever it was called. Thancred seems to be edgy again, because of course he is. Is
Good to get that edge.
this going to be a continuous thing with Thancred? Because every time he turns up, he's either edgy or not edgy.
He's just going to gradually get edgier and edgier.
Uh.
That's what the impression that I'm getting.
Okay.
Remember the third expansion is like everybody has to be like totally dark and stuff.
It's time for edge.
So predictably, I expect him to get edgier.
Naturally. He does turn up as a gunbreaker later, I know that much.
With extra edge.
Just with edge, yes. Like first time he shows up, he's fine. Then he turns up and he's edgy, and it turns out he's the bad guy in disguise. Spoilers for people who haven't actually played Realm Reborn yet, because you need to catch up on that. But then you cure him and he's not edgy anymore. Then he disappears at the start of Heavenswood and pops out of the woodwork much later on, and now he's edgy again. I mean, he's so edgy he's got mismatched eyes now. That's how edgy he is. So yeah, it's still a good time. I'm still very thoroughly enjoying the story. The climax to Heavenswood was appropriately awesome. But yeah, now we've got this whole schism thing going on where everyone's fighting over what the way forward for Ishgard is, and you know someone's wrong when they start using the argument as of, I'm going to do something horrible and this is entirely your fault. Especially when that involves, murdering a child.
But
No,
you got to get them Dragon Balls, man.
got to get them Dragon Ball. Well, last time you got more than one Dragon Ball, whoever was holding them turned into, uber bad guy dragon. That's the thing that happened.
Yeah, those Dragon Balls don't stop causing problems at the end of the Dragon Song War arc either.
Yeah.
Like they continue to reappear and cause problems.
They're shaping up to be one of the big bad evil MacGuffins of the plot.
I think they do get consumed eventually, but I don't remember exactly.
That probably is not a good thing.
Oh yeah, it creates all sorts of havoc. It's a major plot point in Stormblood.
Yeah, now it's time for bad stuff to happen. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I'm slowly catching up, but I stuck my face into PvP because of the new event at the moment. You can earn, I think it's 5 of the new tomestones for the Moogle event each match for PvP, and I have no idea what I was doing in those.
Yeah, I've avoided PvP. It just looks like a total cluster F. Like I don't have any idea what's going on.
Well, there's 3. For what I've been doing is there's 3 rotating arenas. They rotate around every day. And there's some variation of capture points and also do a thing. So the first one, it was capture points and you'll rack up your score just by holding points. But there's also these crystals that pop up around the arena, which you need to break. They do something. The second one is you capture the points, and then in the center of it, up on a giant mountain, these robots appear, and you kill them for reasons. I'm not sure what the third one does, but I've never won a game, so there's... Well, actually, that's not true. I signed on with the Maelstrom Grand Company, and the Maelstrom will win 9 times out of 10 that I've played. But for some reason, I'm always on the Immortal Flame side. I have no idea why.
Well, it's because you've got mercenary selected.
Oh, right. That's probably it.
It's selected by default because it's a queue fixing thing.
Yep.
And that just means that you can join whichever team is missing people.
Which means nobody wants to join the Immortal Flames. So,
I think it's no more that nobody wants to start an Ulder.
Nobody wants to go to Ulder. So yeah, it's fun enough just to jump in and, blow some things up. The systems for a bit wonky. Like, it'll swap out all your abilities for one. And what I'm actually salty about is for Machinists in particular. You've got your 1-2-3 combo, and then when you go into Overdrive or whatever it was called, I forget, you don't do your 1-2-3 combo. You instead do Heat Blast, which in PvE are all individual buttons, but PvP has one button which unites all those 4 abilities. So it'll automatically do your 1-2-3 combo and then change to Heat Blast when you go into Overdrive. And I am super miffed because I actually want that in PvE. Just for hotbar space. Blah. Anyway, that's pretty much my week. It hasn't been a particularly eventful one. Just some stuff. So, Vol, go for it.
Right, so at present I am engaged in maximum Toby Kadachi bully because I realised that since we captured that one, I've got one in the arena. And I just figured, oh, well, I mean, I can probably take Toby Kadachi, right? Right? without paying all that much attention. What could possibly go wrong? But yeah, so this week was the week I got my eye surgery. It was not LASIK, it was a similar system based on the same sort of core principle, except that the process is a little bit different. But the recovery period is a little bit longer in exchange for not causing as much damage to the corneal tissue. So my vision's been kind of wonky. It's been a bit like Iceborne. A lot of Iceborne takes place in a snowy area, and this is the first time I've ever been snow blinded by a game.
Everything is blue and white.
Bright colours, my eyes are not really responding very well to. It makes them bleed everywhere. Not my eyes, the colours. But yeah, so I've played quite a bit of Monster Hunter. Well, a moderate amount of Monster Hunter. I've fought a bunch of additional monsters that we hadn't fought last time we talked about it. I feel like the monsters in this game really do lean very hard into particular weapon styles, in that certain ones are just really, really rough to use against certain monsters. Like Fern and I had an uncomfortable encounter with the arena Barioth during the week.
He
Like,
just
it was
did
just-
not want to behave himself, did he?
That fight was just a total mess. Neither of us could catch up to him to hurt him.
Yeah.
He was just moving too fast. Because we had one guy with a hunting horn and one guy with a greatsword, and both of us move at snail's pace.
Yep.
So it basically just didn't work all that well. But Barioth is one of my least favourites. I have more trouble with Barioth than I do with even Tigrex. Simply because at least you can see where Tigrex is going. Barioth just sort of disappears off camera and then attacks you.
Yeah.
It seems to be his general pattern.
He's pretty good at
But
that.
I'm not particularly sanguine about that. It doesn't make me very happy. So I'm not really that fond of Barioth. Tigrex, I feel like Tigrex is exactly what Tigrex is supposed to be. Nothing more, nothing
Annoyingly
less.
fast.
Yeah. Obnoxious for me to fight because my style usually involves keeping very, very, very close to the monster at all times. However, Tigrex is 90% of the time he is a hitbox, a damage hitbox.
Yeah.
So
Or he's chucking rocks at you because he's a
Yeah.
jerk.
if he's not standing next to you, he's throwing rocks at you. But whenever he moves, pretty much every movement frame he's got does damage. So you just don't want to be very near him. But because he closes distance so quickly, he's also not really a great fit for ranged weapons either. At least I don't feel like he is.
Yeah, well, if you try and line up a shot with a ranged weapon, the next thing you know, he's jumped on your face.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you're supposed to fight a Tigrex. I understand he's been in the game for a long time, so presumably people have developed anti-Tigrex strategies. Mostly he's just an angry chap.
Very, very angry.
Like, all of the time. He does not stop being angry. He's just always angry. And Barioth is similar to Tigrex, except he jumps and he also spits frost and stuff, so... I gather later on in the game there's another, even angrier Tigrex to fight.
You can believe it. They do
It's,
get angrier.
Like an angry variant Tigrex. Like the regular Tigrex, he's actually chill. That's the thing. But I haven't encountered him yet, so I don't know much about it. Did we talk about Nagakuga last time? I don't even know, because
Briefly.
Ari fought him, but the rest of us didn't. Yeah, I can't actually say anything about Nagakuga since, for whatever reason, I just haven't run into one. Like,
Oh,
just
they're
haven't seen
there.
one.
But you
Except for
never
that
see
time in Coral Highlands where I just sort of rounded a corner and my eyesight hadn't come back, and I was like, what is that black shape over there? I can't quite see it. And then I got a bit closer and I realized it was just a Nagakuga sitting there, chilling.
them. You found the world's
And-
only chill Nagakuga.
Yeah, and he didn't even bother to chase after me. He just sort of like sat there. And like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah. It's not the sort of monster I think you want to really fight while you can't see detail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
the whole monster is black and blue and really dark, and likes to hide
he's
in dark places.
Nargacuga is the first monster that made me realize in this expect just how much they're focusing on monsters with a key part of their body that seems to be very important to the function of that monster.
Mm-hmm.
Like for Nargacuga, it's his tail.
Yep.
So like there's Nargacuga with his tail, which is a pain in the keister, and then there's Nargacuga without his tail, which is much more manageable because it doesn't bleed you every attack.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've noticed that they've also adjusted the part damage health of parts on monsters that have very important body parts. Like, for instance, something like despite how incredibly long... Oh, no, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But basically, something like Coral Pookie Pookie,
Mhm.
half of its move list concerns shooting water out of his butt.
Yes.
But I fought one, and I did very nearly, probably about 95% or more of the damage that I hit him with was directly to the tail zone.
Yeah.
And he was at near death state by the time I managed to cut it off.
Yeah.
So
you're checking like 80% of these guys' HP to before their part even has a chance of falling off, if it's a real important part to them.
by contrast, Anjanath's tail falls off relatively readily if you focus on it.
Brachydios becomes a much easier monster to fight if you can break his boxing gloves.
Yeah, but his tail falls off easily because he doesn't use it much.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't swipe, and that's about it.
Boxing gloves, not so much. So Brachydios, I fought Brachydios. I actually find him an interesting fight in a lot of ways because, for whatever reason, they've made it so you fight him. The best way to fight him seems to be like a boxer, short range, and you basically just you move stepping more or less. You don't usually do long runs of any kind, or at least I don't. It's more about you do the minimum possible movement to get in his blind spot and then whack him and then go back to circling.
Yes.
That seems to be the way that I've found is best to fight him.
Just be careful when you play your step.
He's still, got a lot of the other traits of Monster Hunter monsters. Like the one time he carted me, he knocked me down, he jumped on me and then just hit me over and over until I was carted. Like there was no opportunity for me to respond in any way. So he's still a nasty customer, but he's very, very readily able to be played around. I think he's still an interesting fight, but it's a very feast or famine. Either you are holding your own against him and he's not hitting you, or he hits you and then suddenly all your health is gone.
He can do a rather nasty combo on you if you're not careful, where particularly if he can knock you into one of his puddles. It explodes, it knocks you back up into the air, and then he'll just punch you. By that point, that's
I think he's one of those weapon type monsters because he's a bugbear for me on my dual blades and sword and board, because the way he sets up his arena when you fight him is going to be covered in boogers. And this is bad news if you play sword and board and dual blades, because you're focusing on being able to sheath quickly and move and adjust your position and dodge quickly, or block quickly and respond to something, and he does not cater to either of these play styles at all.
He's a monster that I feel is very easy to deal with minimal movement. Like the ability to move a long distance quickly isn't actually that helpful against him, because he generally doesn't move terribly quickly either.
Yeah.
So if you can just sort of
generally doesn't.
He can, but usually only in bursts. So he's not going to be running all over the place like that lunatic T-Rex.
Yeah. He's not too bad with the hunting horn. He doesn't like blunt damage very much, so actually getting him to stagger is pretty easy. I have not managed to break his pompadour, though.
I've broken his crown once. I've broken it once.
Okay. So
you can break it.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of health, much like his boxing gloves.
Yeah.
They're his high health parts. But since there's 3 of them individually, they don't have a huge amount of hit points. It's just that the odds of you having the time to break all 3, especially if you're going for a tail cut as well, not very high.
Yeah, you've got to really work at kind of hitting that threshold first before you can even consider breaking them off.
Yeah, I think that unlike with Barroth, it is actually reasonable to break the crown with a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Barroth, it's just a no-go. Like, I've never actually managed to break Barroth's crown with a sword before, which is incredibly frustrating. Because I don't know how to play any blunt weapons. But, yeah. So, Glavenus. I've only fought the one Glavenus as well, although in the case of Glavenus, he shows up all the freaking time, usually when I least want him to.
Yes.
But shamefully, every time he shows up, he gets styled on by whatever monster I'm fighting, no matter what it is. I've seen him get wrecked by Dodogama. I've seen him get wrecked by Lavazioth. Like, he just seems to have bad luck a lot of the time. So I'm not actually that familiar with how he goes, because I fought him. The one time I fought him was with Ari, and Ari did all the work. I mainly fell over. But on the other hand, Acidic Glavenus is actually kind of an interesting fight because of how differently he plays Acid Up and Acid Down. In fact, even his resistances change. He's sort of I found that he's not really terribly dangerous when he's got his acid tail, provided you remember to take defense lock decorations. Usually the acid tail's not going to present a huge issue, but that's not, that's not, by no means strictly true at all times and in all places. But yeah, it's interesting how he sort of changes on a dime, because he basically becomes a ninja as soon as he strips the acid off of his tail. The thing is, when the acid is on his tail, he tends to be actually really hard to hurt, because the tail takes up a lot of his body line and it takes very little damage from you when it's got acid on it. But when he strips it off, he's got a humongous range on it, and he will cut you in half. He's got absolutely no hesitation about wrecking you totally. Like,
oh joy.
He's quick. He hops around. He spins his tail around. The way I ended up fighting him basically was I got in a lot of my damage by waiting until he went into the animation to strip the acid off his tail, putting on the temporal mantle, and then just running through it.
Okay.
Because that thing, it's got an enormous range on it, and it does a humongous amount of damage. Like, when I tried to escape from it, there was just no guarantee I'd get out of range in time. If I was anywhere near him when he started, there was no chance. So I would just, you can dive through it, but it's not easy to do, because it comes out so quickly once he releases it. So you'd have to get used to the timing by fighting him a lot if you wanted to take that approach. But I found it to be quite a fun fight. It's one that the great sword handles quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because he can't keep up the pace of his fast tail the entire time. It will eventually he'll grow his acid back, and then he'll slow down, and you'll have a chance to get your licks into whatever parts of his body you've managed to weaken. But it's better to stay away from when he's swinging that tail around, unless you have very clearly identified your openings. Fulgur Anjanath is like, he's mostly like a regular Anjanath, except the additional tricks he has are really nasty. He can fling his snot and his lightning balls and that all over the place when he gets angry, and it's a nasty, nasty surprise, because I was used to, Anjanath is mostly physical, and he breathes fire breath in front of him when he's, really, really angry. But most of the time, it's very like short to mid-range sort of ranged attacks. Fulgur Anjanath can fling his ranged attacks halfway across the zone and fry you.
Oh, fun.
And he can do it multiple times with multiple balls in succession. And things can get very, very hairy if you get hit just by one, because he may just decide to hit you with another one or jump on your face.
Yeah.
Either outcome is not great for you.
I took down a Fulgur Anjanath on an expedition once, and honestly, all I could follow was just, this is rage. This is rage incarnate.
Yeah, he's an angry boy.
Very, very
but,
angry boy.
Fundamentally, you fight him the same way you fight an engineer, is what I found. And it's just that when you make a mistake, he punishes you much harder than regular Anjanath does. He tends not to do the same Anjanath behavior of pinning you up against a wall and then just, body tackling you over and over until you're dead.
That gets really annoying.
But he's much more capable in the mid-distance than regular Anjanath is. Ebony Doggo. Ebony Doggo mostly fights like regular Doggo, except then you realise that, he's a regular Doggo, except he's angry and has a ranged attack.
Okay. He's not a huge step up then.
Except that the way that you normally fight him, which is in close, because if you give him room to start leaping, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
The way you normally fight him leaves you 100% open for his ranged attack.
Oh,
because his ranged attack, it tends not to shoot it along the ground. He leaps up in the air, but he shoots down at you at close range, so he'll just hop up in the air a short distance away and then spit on you, and you don't have time to get out of the way.
How rude.
So if you see him jump, you generally need to make the decision pretty quickly whether or not he's going to come down and charge you, in which case you don't really want to dodge to the side because he always comes in from the side, or if you want to get out of the way of his spit, which is it can be rough, but he's not too much of a hassle. I didn't have too much trouble with him. He hits like a truck, but you can get away with fighting him mostly the same you would fight a regular doggo if you just keep in mind the fact that he's got dragon breath as well.
All right, so that's not too bad.
Who else? I fought Shrieking Legiana, who this is more or less second verse same as the first. Like, you can fight Shrieking Legiana roughly the same way that you would fight a regular Legiana.
Knock him out
most of the time,
and then beat on him.
This one is way trixier. Like, I don't know. I don't think he can actually teleport, but it often looks like it.
My biggest problem with fighting Shrieking Legiana is he often appears with another Legiana in the arena. And if he doesn't have his ice armor up, and if it's your first or second fight against him, you might get distracted for 15 minutes and run out the timer because you were beaten on the wrong Legiana.
That's
like certain parties.
That's terrible.
The easiest way to tell is that regular Legiana is yellowish under the wings and Shrieking Legiana is greyish under the wings.
He also has the little beard, which I know now, but I did not know then.
But yeah, Shrieking Legiana has a lot more nasty ice tricks than regular Legiana, who just sort of, tries to be a sparkle pyre.
Yep.
Yeah, the Shrieking Legiana has a lot more nasty ice stuff. And it was one of the monsters, and I found that this applies to several monsters, that the best way to fight them is to lure them over to a hot pool, put a healing hookah down, and then just fight them in the hot pool.
Okay.
Because you can't readily get chilled when you're in the hot pool, and you've got a health healing buff, and you've got the healing coming in all the time, and you can just drag them into the pool and then wreck their crap. And Legiana seems to be very vulnerable to that. I've never had much trouble fighting Legiana with either bow or great sword. It seems that Legiana is just sort of like, it would mostly be a problem if you didn't have a way of reaching it. And that's generally not the case. Legiana tends to hang out close enough to the ground that you can tag them.
Even then, if he does get up in the air, they usually fight a Legiana on ground you can slide on, so even weapons like the dual blades or the sword and board have a way of getting up there to hit him with a slide attack. So he's not that bad to get to.
The sword and board is the weapon that has the most effectiveness at getting into the air compared to every other weapon that's not.
Assuming you can land the pogo stick attack. But you have to land that one first.
Yeah. Anyway, I also fought Velkhana, the flagship.
Yes. For
this expansion, it was not a fun fight for me. But I can see how it could be a fun fight, but this is like Bully the Great Sword User the fight. Legiana viciously punishes you for being too slow. It's all about reaction speed. It's sort of like fighting. It's sort of like what I'll say is that fighting with a slow weapon. I took down Velkhana with 0 carts. I was carted 0 times, and less than 2 minutes left on the clock.
Oh, that's
because
close.
The reality is that I had the time to heal myself constantly, despite the fact that I've been wearing rank 8 armor the whole time instead of, being sane. And I still had time to heal myself the entire time. But the reason I had time to heal myself was because most of the time I couldn't approach Legiana for whatever reason. There's lots of ways that Legiana can just zone you out. So it's a lot like fighting a Kushala in a lot of ways. And that there's just areas that you're denied access to. Okay. Except that unlike Kushala, everything hurts. Everything hurts a great deal. it has several attacks that just completely deny all of the area around it, so you can't get close. Like, it seems like a fight that's really good for ranged weapons. Like, if you're nimble with a bow, I think that taking down Legiana should probably be no problem, because most of Velkhana's attacks are very, very eminently dodgeable. That's what I've noticed. Like, there's lots of area denial, and she can hit you wherever you are. She's got an attack for every situation. However, all of them are very dodgeable if you're quick enough. If you have a great sword, you're never quick enough. that's the reality of great sword. She controls the environment a lot. She tends to create ice walls around the place, which are useful because you can bash them down and then jump off them.
Handy.
To get a bit of mounting height. Except that, you know, you kind of want to practice that, so you've got it down to an instinct rather than thinking about it, because if you stop to tinker with the ice wall, you're going to get impaled. Because that tail is uncuttable. I tried to cut it off, but it's physically possible. The game allows you to cut Velkhana's tail off. However, Velkhana's tail is pretty much its favorite weapon.
It's a whip.
And it doesn't whip with it, though. It uses it like a rapier.
Yeah.
It will turn on the spot and stab you.
Shit.
And it can stab you if you are standing at, like, Velkhana's flank. It can stab you there with its tail. It can bend its tail right around the side of its body and stick you with it. If you're standing at its face, it can juke slightly to the side and stab you, or it can pop up in the air and do a backflip and stab you with its tail. Like, it's actually kind of cool to watch, because there's no other monster in the game that attacks in that sort of precise way, where it just, you know, sticks you with pinpoint accuracy with its tail. But Velkhana does it a lot. It's kind of cool and incredibly frustrating. There's a lot of times it's very, very dodgeable, because I dodged dozens upon dozens of them, because if I hadn't, I would have just been dead meat. But she does it a lot, and she very rarely only does one. Like, she'll stick the ground, and you dodge. If you're really unlucky, she'll just juke to the side and stick in the second place to be exactly where you ended up. So yeah, it can be a bit of a rough fight, but I think that it's a cool fight. I just felt unreasonably bullied because I don't know how to fight her with a great sword. I presume that there's a way to do it that's effective, but I couldn't find it in that time. I was mainly panicking as I saw the timer running down. How can I get the last few hits on to bring her down? Because it's just, there's a lot of the time that you just get zoned away from fighting her because she's, you know, freezing all the ground around her. She's got an ability that just creates tons of ice pillars around her, which hit you and knock you back, and everything she does gives you frost blight, so you pretty much need to have a huge amount of frost resist or protection from blights. Ideally frost resist, since she's only got the one type of blight, and a lot of her damage is frost damage. Her breath attack, mercifully, she usually only breathes in a straight line in front of her, usually, and it's very narrow. So it's dodgeable if you see it coming out, and because it's so narrow, it's narrow in both dimensions. So if she's standing on a foot-high ledge, it will miss you by going over your head, and you can also dive through it. But it also really, 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 really hurts if you fail to actually to dodge it. Although I don't know how much it hurts a person who's wearing normal person armor. What else? Well, generally speaking, I was impressed with its design. It's got a few things that keep it from being samey, despite the fact that it's a lot like Kushala in terms of being an aerial denial one. It has a really nasty trick where it freezes the ground under it, and if you have to basically book it to the edge of that frozen patch, or you'll get frozen solid on it. You don't want that to happen, trust me. It's bad.
That sounds bad. Yeah.
Yeah. She's got lots of little tricks, lots of ways of controlling the environment. The nasty one is she breathes, creates a wall behind you, and then when you're with your retreat cut off, just impales you on her tail.
She is rather fond of doing that.
It's a nasty customer. A very, very interesting Elder Dragon, very fun Elder Dragon to fight. Seems to have 2 stages of enrage, like a lot of monsters in this game, where one of them is a sort of a pseudo enrage, where she unlocks a second move set, and one of them is the real enrage. And she basically has more ice depending on which one she's in. She does a little animation when she's switching to her from her sort of middle state to her final state. What's it called? Seething Basil Goose is the other one that has a similar sort of thing. So this is the new Bagel Goose, same as the old Bagel Goose except worse, like way worse. Like Bagel Goose Classic, he's a retard and basically attacks you in a totally straightforward manner 90% of the time. But this one sheds scales like it's going out of fashion. And oftentimes, if you're unlucky and you slap him, he'll just drop scales right next to you and blow you up. Because you knocked the bombs off with your sword or whatever, and it blew you up. So you got to be a bit careful. There is no meaningful delay that I have seen in the recharge of scales. Like, I managed to empty his scales a few times, but they grow back so quickly that it's not really, it doesn't really seem to present much of an opening. Tail is sort of middle cuttable, even though it's very important to a lot of his attacks. I'd say it's probably slightly harder to cut off than classic Basil Goose, but not a huge amount harder. The real issue is that scales change colour. He's got red scales, and he's got blue scales, and the blue scales are bad news bear. Basically, when he drops them on the ground, they don't just sit there and explode the way the normal ones do. He drops them on the ground, and they swell up, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they pop, and they have a huge radius, an absolutely huge radius. And he can shed these things anytime his scales are glowing blue rather than red. And they stick to everything. They can get stuck in the walls as well. The last thing you want is to get pinned up against a wall by his charge while it's full of glowing blue-purple scales, because that's a death sentence. But each one of these things hits like a truck. And he's got a nasty ability where he just leaps into the air and sprays them all over the room. Because they've got a huge radius, it's very hard to find a safe spot because they're all over the room and you can't fit enough on camera to see if there's one behind you, and you don't have time to check. So you've just got to sort of hope. And since it's a Bagel Goose, they go off in sequential fashion. So if you get hit by one, it will bounce you to the next one, which will hit you, and bounce you to the next one, which will hit you, and bounce you to the next one until you're dead. So, yeah, another very, very nasty customer. Has a lot of weaknesses. It's not unfair. Getting killed by his scales feels very unfair, but the fight as a whole isn't, because he's has a lot bigger openings than conventional Bagel Goose, who already has a lot of openings, because he still attacks in the same straightforward fashion, but I am almost convinced that he gets tired much more quickly than regular Bagel Goose does, and he stops to catch his breath a lot and give you a lot of openings like that. But yeah, I also saw him get wrecked by a Dodogama. So, those scales are a real problem. I actually preserved myself from getting blown up by mounting other monsters in the area, so that I didn't take the damage from exploding scales.
Okay.
I think, and I'm not sure about this, but I think I've also seen him get flinched by his own scales because the explosion is so big. I'm not sure if it was my imagination or what, but that's what it looked like to me when he's standing too close to his own scales. But yeah, so he's nasty as heck. Who else? I also fought Black Veil Valhazak. This is Valhazak on shrooms, or rather shrooms on Valhazak, because he's basically a Valhazak that lives in the forest and has become infested with fungi.
Okay.
And he sprays spores everywhere. He's somewhat less aggressive than conventional Valhazak, and he does less laser beams of doom, but he does much more area denial around himself, and his new ult, rather than a laser beam of instant death, is he sprays his spores all over the area, and basically when he does that, you've got to evacuate for a while, because if you fight him there, you're dead meat. If you fight him there, it's sort of a bit like Arch-Tempered Valhazak, where you're just taking so much damage all the time, and it's not the health and drain damage that Arch-Tempered Valhazak does. It's ticks of damage, so you don't get recoverable.
Okay,
It
so
basically
it
makes
you don't have to deal with miasma for him.
you do have to deal with miasma as well.
Oh, okay. On top of that.
Yeah.
Joy.
Miasma the debuff, not miasma the environmental effect, because you're fighting in the forest.
Yeah.
The issue is though that because it's ticks of damage rather than drain, that means that every hit becomes instantly permanent if you're fighting in that area, because you're taking ticks of damage constantly, so you never have any recoverable damage. If you get hit, you don't have a chance to recover any of that, because the next tick will just confirm that damage.
Right.
So it's just evacuate. Do not even try and fight him in there. There is no opening that is worth it, because the moment something goes wrong, all your health disappears. But yeah, he's a nasty customer, but because he's less aggressive, he tends to behave in a less mobile fashion most of the time. Because his attacks are heavily telegraphed and he has a lot of lengthy breath attacks, even though not all of them are beams. He does do the beams sometimes, but they're not like decisive instant beams of doom. He breathes a lot more clouds of stuff. He's got a new ability, a new attack where he breathes a cloud of stuff, but he backpedals while doing it. So you can't catch up to him and tag his head to make him stop, because he just keeps backpedaling. But yeah, because he's less aggressive and he has long charge abilities, he's one of the easiest monsters I've fought so far to use the Clutch Claw on.
Okay.
Because all you need to do is catch him when he started a long animation, dodge around him, Clutch Claw on, and while he's doing that animation, he can't stop you from doing your Clutch Claw attacks. So he's quite easy to weaken, comparatively speaking. You just need to see the right sort of opening. But he also tends to just sort of leak spores a lot of the time. So if you're standing next to him, you can just take passive damage from being too close. But you can deal with that by, you know how like Beatotus has snow on it and Barrelf has mud on it and so on.
Mm-hmm.
He has like mushrooms and molds and stuff on him. You can break them off. If you break them off in the time until they regrow, you won't take passive damage from being next to him. So if you're going to stand next to him, it pays to wail on the general area you're standing on enough, at least, to make sure that he's not going to be draining your health just from being near him.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the new ones that I've fought this week. I've made reasonable progress through the story. The next mission that I've been assigned is to fight Namiel, the new Elder Dragon. So looking forward and not looking forward to that, because it's usually painful fighting an Elder Dragon for the first time. I can sort of understand why the hardcore Monster Hunter players are unhappy with this expansion.
Oh?
And I am a moron at action games. Like, I don't have the reflexes or the sort of mindset required to play them effectively. I haven't failed a single mission so far.
Right.
Except for the ones that I've played with other people who were getting carted for me. All of the ones that I played by myself, I have gotten through. Even, first time fighting Volcana may have taken me 48 point something minutes, but I didn't cart. Valhazak, I got carted a couple times, but got through it. Bagel Goose, I got carted many times, but I didn't actually fail because I was lucky and got the canteen buff to give me a free cart. But yeah, so I haven't actually failed a mission yet. And for someone like me whose number one strategy is to get me closer so I can hit them with my sword, I can sort of understand why the people who have developed real skills at this game are sort of grumpy that it's too easy.
Yeah, there's always a crowd that's going to whine that things are too easy, but yeah.
But the feeling to me is sort of a bit like when I played DMC Devil May Cry for the first time on hard and still got A's and S's through the whole game.
That should be really insulting.
It's like it should be too hard for me to do, and it's not. That's the thing. I'm not really sure why that is. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be setting any speedrun records. Like, I'm very, very slow. However, nothing has been able to actually pin me down and kill me yet, so it feels like it's a little bit on the easy side. I'm sure that I'll be made to eat those words before too long, but that's the impression that I've got. But then again, on the other hand, like, I've also seen a lot of people complaining that it's too hard.
Yeah.
But those people are always around, so.
Which means it may have struck a decent difficulty, at least.
Well, I
At least
mean,
on an average.
it is the casual Monster Hunter. It's got that reputation. I can sort of understand that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. At any rate, I'm having a good time with it. I would rather be playing with other people, but everybody else has to be an adult while I take time off to recover from my surgery. Unfortunately, I'll be back to the daily grind next week, or this coming week. So my time on it will be cut sadly short. I would have liked to be playing Final Fantasy as well, but you know, I can only play one game at once. Well, two if you count FGO. But yeah, I'm having fun with it. I just wish I wasn't having fun with it alone most of the time. I don't want to play with strangers, but yeah, I did have a few hunts with Fern and with Ari, but mostly it's been me by myself.
Yeah, we had to work this week.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to hear that from you. You spent 90% of your free time
Oh,
playing World of Warcraft.
well,
Or
it's
90% of your free time.
hang on. But yeah, this has been a really weird week in general for all of our schedules, I think. Well, Fern might have had a normal week. It's
Yeah,
hard
normal.
to tell with you, Fern.
Yeah, there's no such thing as normal in my life.
Yeah, this was a really wonky week, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, but I tried to meet up with you and play some. We managed to catch up one night, but it's just you got to fit sleep in there somewhere, and I don't need much sleep, but I need some. Why does work have to happen during daytime?
You spend like 4 hours a day playing World of Warcraft. Like,
Only with Abo. So
well, I don't see what it has to do with anything.
so
You're still spending all your free time playing World of Warcraft. You've basically just been consumed by the machine.
I told Abo to hang on and got on and played Monster Hunter.
Like, you've been eaten by the WoW machine.
Nom 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 nom.
You just totally went back on all your commitments and got eaten by the WoW machine.
It's not my fault.
Well, whose fault is it?
I blame Abo.
Gotta wallow in that delicious nostalgia.
But yeah, it's I did make an effort to get on since you had this week off. I'm like, oh, I guess it would be kind of bad since Paul has the whole week off to just not get on Monster Hunter at all, since he's been wanting to play. So I made an effort to get on.
Yeah, so that's Monster Hunter. I haven't watched any of the new anime yet this season. They've started airing, but I'll probably start plowing through some of them tonight. But most of the season doesn't look terribly promising, but that's all is forgiven because there's another Fate series. Like, if they can keep up this pace of having a Fate series every season, then I'll be happy. But I don't think it'll last. But this one's 21 episodes, so they're going to get a core and a half out of it, sort of thing. Something. But yeah, so I'll probably report back on that as of next week. This week I finished off the stuff that I was watching from the season past, and it wasn't great. It just wasn't. Like, it's like of the stuff that I caught up on yesterday, not counting Black Clover because it's ongoing, the best one was probably Is It Okay to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? And even that I didn't particularly like.
I just don't really care for that series as a whole. String boobs
Yeah,
notwithstanding.
I sort of enjoy it at times. There are things about it that I like, but yeah, they send very weird mixed messages a lot of the time, and I'm not really sure how to interpret a lot of it. And yeah, basically the whole thing is thematically kind of weird and unsettling. So yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Not really sure what to think about it. And so I keep watching it in the hopes that I'll come to some sort of conclusion, but I never do. Oh well. So yeah, I've got a bunch of random ones lined up to watch. There are a bunch that I'll skip. Like I'll probably skip the sports anime as usual. I'll skip the high school romance as usual. I'll skip any weird yaoi crap as usual. I'll probably watch all the isekais again just to see to see if we're leveling off on them yet, whether we've hit rock bottom.
We're not.
Yeah. Apparently there's an isekai, which the description sounds roughly like this.
Uh-oh.
That the kingdom in a fantasy world summons someone from another world because they need monsters killed. And they summon a guy who's basically a luchador. Except that he decides he doesn't want to kill the monsters because he likes animals, and so he opens up a pet store trying to find homes for the monsters.
Okay. There are
Yeah,
many
I'm not even-
questions.
There are many questions. I'm not sure how to answer them. I
don't
might
think there are
try watching
answers.
it just to try and find out. But yeah, that's a thing. I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, there's a bunch of series. Most of them haven't really caught my eye. I mean, it's sort of hard to catch my eye next to something like the Babylonia anime. But yeah, I'm sure Serathis will probably watch the Azure Lane one because boat waifus or whatever.
Boat waifus.
Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll watch it so I can give an opinion on it in case Serathis decides to write us about it, because I gather he plays that. But yeah, I've made my opinion clear in the past that I find it weird to try and keep up with a second set of boat waifus, having already sort of become accustomed to the Kantai collection characters, which are also boat waifus. But
Too many boats.
yeah, I guess there's a lot of, you know, Imperial Japanese Navy fans or something
I guess.
that you can build a lot of, like, I didn't know naval otaku was such a big thing, but maybe it is. Or maybe it's just that they're waifuable. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I think I'll call an end to my week there. I don't have much else to report on. The only new book that I read was I got FGO Mortalis Stella, the manga, which is just and yet another manga adaptation of the start of FGO, of which I've seen many different versions now. This one's, I think, sort of strikes a nice balance between the ones which are a little like sort of disconcertingly slapstick and the ones that are too serious. But it's not very memorable. I mainly got it because I'm collecting Fate stuff. So
Yeah.
Another.
the art is nice. It's not blow you away nice, but it's reasonably nice as far as manga art goes. Yeah. But I think I'll call it into my week there.
Okie doke.
Alrighty.
I have a new video game that came out. I crammed it today to take some notes and talk about it. So we'll get to that after the music break. And yeah, I think we're going to go to a break and we'll be right back after some music. And we're back.
Yes, indeedy.
So we were at the tail end of Vols week, I think. You got anything else?
Nope.
Okie doke. So how can I talk about my week? My week was incredibly schizo in its scheduling. I had no idea what was going to happen all week, so it was impossible to plan anything. And I had a couple days that there just really wasn't anything going on, and I had most of a free day. From like after work, I got home at a reasonable hour and had time to do stuff, but I didn't really know what to do. So I just kind of played WoW with Abo on those days. And then I had 2 or 3 days that were just really, really busy this week, and I got home and was super tired. So it was an odd week. But earlier in the week, I picked up Code Vein intending to play it, but didn't get around to it until today. So we've already covered Monster Hunter, and most of my Monster Huntering was done with these two. On the end of last week, I haven't made much solo progress at all. And I guess we can go over the new stuff in WoW. Not a whole lot of new stuff in WoW. Mages are still terrible. We had a mage in our BRD group. We did. I specifically said quest run, and we got a mage in like half prophecy tier 1 join a BRD group for some reason. I guess they wanted a trinket or something. And they were kind enough to stick around and help us through a bunch of the quests. But I'm not sure what their deal was. They were pulling a Ron Toye and putting smiley faces all over the place.
That's always
a
the
little
danger
creepy.
side.
Yeah. So they were helpful, reminding me things like the Fire Elementals thing that looks like a single target Fire Blast is actually a cone ability that can hit multiple people. Or it has Splash on it, so you need to turn them away and make sure you're not standing near anybody. Stuff like that. And we actually had to use crowd control. Like, we had to banish one of the Fire Elementals because we're doing that place at level 55. And them things can hit hard. But we were doing a full quest run, and we got to the last quest we needed was the Relic Coffer Keys before we were on all the quests you can reasonably do in one run. And this mage started freaking out about how they had to go and started making the "I've got to do all these important things in real life" speech in all caps to the group.
Okay.
And this mage was god awful. Like arcane explosion spam god awful. Even on one target.
Oh.
I don't know what you're complaining about. This sounds like the genuine WoW Classic experience to me.
But yeah, the priest is whispering to me. He's like, "This mage ain't your friend, is he?" I'm like, "I don't have a clue who this is. This is a pug." And he's like, "Okay." And we had a new player, a brand new player to WoW in a warlock who was level like 53 for BRD in a full quest run, which was a little low, but I took him anyway because it's BRD. You're going to be in there forever anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the big thing we did. Me and Ava did this week. We have officially respect Bear and Holy, since we're we're just waiting for each other to get online before we play at all nowadays. So yeah, that's been pretty much WoW. We did everything. We did Winter Spring, and spent an entire day of our playtime in the Yeti Cave in Winter Spring.
Oh, right, yeah.
The mechanical Yeti quest line, the drop rate on them hides and them horns. Holy crap.
They're awful.
And when you got to do it with 2 people, it doesn't matter that you're going double speed. You're in there all day.
I remember doing that quest. It took me all day to do it as well. And that was just me just doing it solo.
Yeah, so we were in there all day long. We did all of WPL. We did all of Unguro. We wrapped that up. We did all of Fellwood. And so all we really have left is Eastern Plaguelands cleanup. We've done about half of that zone, a little over half. And Silithus for questing. And then we just got dungeon quests to do. And then we can unsub and let these characters rot until PvP comes out. So yeah, that's been pretty much the WoW experience. I'm still enjoying it. I am still riding the wave of those returning players for the most part, where everybody's just excited to be back. lower levels, I've got a little alt warrior that I run around on sometimes while I'm waiting on Abo. And everything I've done in a group with that warrior has been awful. Just horrible. So yeah, the idiots and the tryhards are making their alts now. So that's all you bump into at the super low levels right now. The 40s are apparently still okay, and the late 30s are okay, but below that you start running into some real characters.
Oh, great!
And, yeah, and at in game you either are going to get normal people or tryhards, and you hope you get normal people because the run will be more efficient with normal people than tryhards.
You mean people who watch streamers?
Yeah. I don't care what your favorite streamer did. I don't care what you can do in retail. I don't care what Mythic Plus you run. Just banish the dang elemental so we can keep pulling. Just sheep the officer so we don't have to deal with the range mob. That's all you need to do, dude. You don't need to tell me how great you are. Yeah. But it hadn't been too bad. The experiences like that stand out because they're rare right now, and I hope they stay that way.
Good.
But yeah, I'm going to keep playing it as long as this community feeling exists because it's not going to stick around forever, and I want to milk it for as long as I can. Because this is a timed relive of this type of video game. Like this won't last. So I want to really push it while it's here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been spending a good chunk of my free time on WoW, is because I really just want to keep experiencing this as long as it's here, because it's not going to be here forever. It's going to disappear real soon, as soon as the tryhards, are all that's left.
Once everyone's got their nostalgia kick sorted out.
Yeah. So I'll continue to ride this wave out, probably through Dungeon Set, and then I'll retire from WoW Classic until PvP comes out and Dire Maul and stuff comes out, and check it back every phase. But yeah, I've been continuing to have a good time with it.
Nice.
So Code Vein. How do I want to start this? I have some notes. The first thing I want to say is the reason I got Code Vein in the first place. This game had been on my radar as one to watch for a while, ever since I started to like the later games in the Souls series, the Soulsborne series.
Mm-hmm.
And where FromSoft was taking it, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like this subgenre a bit better now. We just need to, as long as we're not emulating Dark Souls 1 and 2. And so I'd had my eye on it, and it came out like right when Monster Hunter X-Pack was coming out and WoW Classic was coming out. I'm like, and I was just getting back into Final Fantasy, so I was going to wait on it originally. But then I saw what the game critics were doing, and I saw IGN not even review the game. They just played the demo and reviewed the demo.
Oh,
and
no.
And put it up on Metacritic as a review for the game itself.
It is IGN. Really, what did you expect? You expect journalism? I mean...
No, but
no.
it's a thing. So I was like, if the game journals hate this much, what's the user score like? And of course, the user score is 20 points higher, and like the Metacritic for Code Vein is like 70. So I'm like, this is generally a good point balance. If there's this kind of discrepancy between the critic score and the audience score, that there's something in this game worth checking out. So I scooped it, and it took me a while to get to play it. But the first thing I did was go into the character, and we'll start with this first because it's the parts you've seen all over the internet. The character creator is incredibly detailed and featured. I spent, no joke, 30 minutes playing with my character's makeup. Like, the only nitpick I have with the character creator is, and there might be an option for this hidden in the advanced options because there's sub-menus for sub-menus because you can tweak absolutely everything almost, is it doesn't give you easy access to options to adjust the spacing on facial features. And you have to pick from a pre-selected set of facial structures and spacing on the features on the faces, like eyes and nose and stuff. So I would have liked to tweak that a bit more, but that's not that big of a deal considering absolutely everything else you can do to customize your character. So yeah, people have been posting in every anime Reddit everywhere. Apparently, the FGO Reddit got hit especially hard with this. Of I made this character in Code Vein because you can do that if you really want to.
Because of course I do.
Yeah,
You're missing out the most important part: number of belts.
Yes, you can adjust the number of belts on your character. You can select your character's default outfit, which they will wear under their little armor coat thing when you get your gear. And when you unequip it, it'll be just you and your outfit. And several of the outfits have options. All the outfits have options to them. And this means you can take all the little bells and straps and stuff on the outfit or pockets and little pouches and remove them if you wish. So you can tailor the number of belts on your character to be anywhere between 1 and 13.
Only 13?
I mean, you can go to accessories and add more if you really want, but
there you go.
that's just for the outfit with the most belts that I saw.
Now,
So-
we don't want to end up like Asbel now,
As
or we
belts.
won't be able to do anything but talk about friendship.
Yeah, don't worry. My girl has 1 belt. It holds up her skirt.
That is the normal number of belts, is 1 belt to retain pants.
Yes. Although, to be honest, she doesn't need one with her waist to hip ratio. So it's kind of redundant. But yeah, so there is no slider for the proportions of your body in this one. And nobody's going to make a male character that's listening to the show, let's be honest. So they just have a physique slider. And this influences everything from your proportions, we'll say. How womanly is your woman? in bust, waist, and hips. And the higher the number, all the way up to 20, the more defined those proportions will be. I
And
found
the higher the pitch of re from the commentariat.
Yes.
Yeah. And the higher the number, the wonkier the cloth works on the breast. The breasts are supposed to have jiggle physics, but they're hard to tell because the cloth stretches wonky if you make the boobs too big. And the boobs just start, the cloth just starts kind of wobbling around them instead of the chest moving. It looks really weird.
Ugh.
So I found that a solid 15 was a good number for a mature-ish looking anime girl that wasn't, gag boobs.
Yeah, you just said 2 completely contradictory things there. But,
So,
incidentally, did you actually look at the male one? Is it like a sliding scale of bishiness?
oh no, I just didn't care.
Oh, fair enough.
I never even clicked the option. But I would assume
What if you
it's...
need to make like Alex Lewis Armstrong for your edgy gothic anime?
Oh,
story?
I totally want to do that now.
But yeah, no, I didn't even bother to click it. I'd assume it adjusts your broadness of your shoulders and the toneness you have going on.
Yeah.
So it adjusts your manliness in that case.
Manliness.
But so everybody's going to roll a solid 20 if they choose that. But
Well, I
so-
know there are probably girls who want to play as a Bishonen.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true. But
By which I mean they all want to play as Gect for whatever reason.
yeah. So yeah, that's the character creator. It is really robust, and my only complaint is I wish you could do more with the spacing and proportions on the face. So the other thing we need to talk about is the elephant in the room discussing this particular video game, and that. How do I say this without triggering Vol?
Oh no.
This game fits in the Soulsborne subgenre as it is defined by that community very, very easily.
Well, I mean, I know that. I just don't like the word.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a terrible word.
So this game is a Souls-like game. It is a game that is very much so like the Dark Souls series. In fact, it is so like the Dark Souls series, it is just Dark Souls with an anime skin.
I'm fine with that. Like the reality is, the most of the reason why I've never been able to play those games is psychological, because I just don't like the aesthetic at all.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Like, I particularly dislike the Dark Souls aesthetic. I can tolerate the Bloodborne aesthetic, but it doesn't have a lot of allure for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do like the aesthetic in Sekiro though.
I like Bloodborne's aesthetic the best of the FromSoft bunch, but I like that gothic horror type of stuff. But yeah, so when I say it's like Dark Souls, I mean it cribs almost every mechanic from the Dark Souls series and implements it one-to-one.
Yeah, well, I
Even
mean, you say that, but I mean, if you're talking about Dark Souls 2, then you can say it. Then you tell. I can tell you right now, I'm not going to bother playing it.
Yeah, okay, I'm talking about Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne specifically. It cribs mechanics from those games and just transplants them into this one. Even the items you get are every single one is analogous to an item that you would get in Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne. Like you get haze, which is your souls, as you kill monsters, and it accumulates exactly in the same ratio it does in Dark Souls, pretty much when you get a kill, based on the enemy that you kill and the difficulty you're playing, and the not difficulty, but the current game cycle you're playing on, and the type of mob it is, etc. And when you die, that's dropped on the ground. And sometimes enemies will drop packets of haze, which are would be like your lost souls that you would find that enemies would sometimes drop. These will be banked souls that you can use as items later. They'll be like, they're equivalent to the glowing coin. They have these little glow sticks you can throw on the ground that flash just like the glowy coins to mark your way in Dark Souls, so you know where you've been before. Stuff like that. And this is just the consumables. The armor system is very reminiscent of Bloodborne, and the weapon system is very reminiscent of Dark Souls 3, and they fit pretty dang equivalently. You pick your weapon type. There are a bunch of different weapons within that type that you want, and you infuse them with an enchant that has some drawbacks and some benefits, and you have to pick the one that caters to your playstyle, and you have to upgrade it by getting a certain number of one tier of upgrade material, then another, and then get the ultimate one of the ultimate upgrade material, and then it's plus 10 and you're done. This is the exact same system Bloodborne and Dark Souls uses.
Mm-hmm.
The armor system is equip a set of armor, and which is just your coat, and it comes with pre-canned stats and resistances, and you can upgrade it if you wish up to plus 10, just like your weapons. Uses the exact same materials, and yeah. So that is very much Dark Soulsian, in a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's all good and well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is a Dark Souls clone yet. We'll get to that. And you get to this in-game feel, and the way the system's mechanics really flow and translate. The first thing that stood out to me was when I was playing this game, muscle memorying it into the Bloodborne muscle memory was automatic and was the correct thing to do. Because the map layout, the enemy placement, and the flow of combat, of non-boss combat, is exactly the same as Bloodborne. You're just playing Bloodborne, but you're playing it with anime people. Even down to the amount of stamina it costs to swing your weapon and perform abilities is almost 1-to-1 at the appropriate points in the game it would be for Bloodborne.
Right.
We're talking, yeah, they didn't just pick a few plays from their playbook. They just stole the whole playbook from FromSoft on this. And their boss fights are very much so. You pick a strategy, you initiate that strategy, the boss calls to you back with its pre-canned response to that strategy. You have to respond appropriately, and you get in a call response loop, just like all the bosses in the Soulsborne series. So yeah, it does not have as many proactive boss fight options so far for the 3 bosses I've killed as Bloodborne does. Bloodborne is a game that allows you to be very proactive in your boss fights. This game feels very much more Dark Souls in this regard, where the boss has a thing it's going to do, and you have to go in prepared to deal with the thing before you can do whatever you're going to do to the boss. And you have to take turns with the boss in a nice, like, boss fight dance, as it were. So yeah, it is very much so deserving of the Souls-like little sticker it gets, is what I'm getting at. So if you like the Souls games, you'll probably like Code Vein. It's just more of that, but with anime and bigger boobs. Way bigger boobs.
This seems like an excellent selling point.
Yes. So yeah, I'm not going to harp much more on that. That was just the big elephant in the room that needed addressing. So, and now to absolutely beat on this game for its the dumbest decision they can make.
Huzzah.
So, their main selling point with this game, for the gameplay anyway, was co-op. You get an AI partner that comes with you everywhere.
Oh, that's never a good idea.
They'll help you. Now, on paper, this sounds like an okay idea. In fact, in the Souls series, you can summon an AI player if no players are online to help you if you meet certain quest requirements. But having an AI partner always there completely kills the challenge of this style of game. It just flattens it. It makes the game a joke to play through. Because the AI can get aggro, and the monster's attacks are scripted like Dark Souls bosses, where you need to where they are only lethal if they're targeting you. If the monster doesn't care about you at that moment, that's free deeps. And even if it does care about you, you still have the hardest hitting dot in the world in the form of your partner beating on it. So I, after the very first level, told Louis to stay in the base. and have stubbornly soloed the rest of the game the whole way through. Because it just is not fun with the AI. The AI trivializes the game.
Bleh.
So I locked him up in the base. And after doing that, it went very much so to a trial and error, learn the level, explore it, try and find all the secret nooks and crannies, style of Soulsborne mapping and exploration, which I like because that is the evolution of the exploration platformer genre of the Metroids and stuff. So I enjoy doing that part, and I don't need an AI partner trivializing it and pointing out all the little nooks and crannies for me. Please stop that, Louis. I want to find it on my own. So this causes a problem because you can just tell the AI to stay in the room. You are not getting the same type of play experience as another person playing the game who does turn on the AI. And this is a big part of why the Dark Souls community grew as it was everybody sat through the exact same game and got through it one way or another. But with Code Vein, you have no idea whether they kept their AI on the whole time or not. And if they did, the game was trivial. And there's nothing to discuss about the challenge because it didn't matter. So, yeah, it's very frustrating that the AI exists in the way it is at all. I would have much preferred Louis just stay in the base from the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can turn him off as soon as you get to the base, and the first boss is a joke anyway, so you don't need him. And as far as I can tell, not bringing them with you does nothing because the cutscenes play as though they're with you anyway.
Oh, he just turns up?
As you progress through the levels, yeah, Louis is just chilling with you and his buddy, whatever his name is that I forget. He's got some Japanese name that I've already forgot. That yeah, they're in the cutscenes with you. They're totally partnered with you as AI partners. There's not in your game, so it doesn't seem to impact anything. And I recommend turning off the AI completely. Once you get to your home base, just go talk to Louis and say, "I need you to wait here, bud," and then just never talk to him with that chat option ever again. And leave him stuck there.
Such a bully. Why are you so bully?
Well, Louis shouldn't be telling me where everything is in the video game I bought.
Yeah. That's the part of the problem with AI companions is they either trivialize the game and do everything for you, or they bug out and just make everything worse.
Yeah.
Also doorways.
Yeah. So, all in all, I enjoy the game quite a lot, actually. The aesthetic helps. I think the level design from the levels I've found so far is actually better than some of what FromSoft's done with their levels. Barring Sekiro, I think it beats out the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne for introductory levels so far. It still keeps that maze-like mini alternate paths around and hidden nooks and crannies to find by dropping down from higher elevations and stuff that the Soul series had, but it does it in a much more natural layout. And this is aided by the map system in the game, where you have a map in the corner of your screen, but that map has to have the Fog of War cleared on it by finding a node somewhere in the Fog of War and feeding some blood to it, and it'll clear the Fog of War permanently. But you can see the footsteps you've taken on the minimap in the Fog of War even after you die. And they shrink over time, so your more recent footsteps are bigger. And this is a wonderful mapping system. I love this mapping system. Because it's a very intuitive way to figure out where you've gone and where you still need to go, and makes it very completionist friendly without trivializing it. So I've very much so been a big fan of that, and hope that continues to be fun and to play around with as I progress through the game with that. Let's see, what else? The story and the characters of Code Vein. It's not as edgy as I thought it would be. It's dark. All the characters have sad backstories, but nobody's really wigging out trying to kill everybody that's on the good guy's side. They're just kind of trying to make do in this world that's not very good. It's a very, very dark story, but it's not really so far. I'm only like maybe 4 hours in. It's not that edgy at all, but I don't know where it's going to go. I know the aesthetic has a lot of edge to it, but so far the story has just been a tragic post-apocalyptic story where these pseudo-vampires need to find a way to stay alive after a catastrophe. So, it's been very character-focused. You find fragments of other friendly NPCs' memories, and you can watch their history in a flashback. The story is very coherent, especially relative to the games it's ripping on. So, you got a ripping off. So,
but everybody loves Dark Souls lore.
Yeah, everybody loves to watch VodiVidya go ask the developers what the heck it means and explain it in a YouTube video. But no, it's all been very straightforward so far. The world building's going on, and I can fairly well put together everything that's happened without having to, do any glossary digging or check item descriptions and stuff. Although that stuff is still there and does add flavor to the world and fills in a bit of the holes that the story probably won't have time to cover. The story itself has been very coherent, and it has cutscenes and parts where you hit a cutscene and the characters stop and talk, and your silent protagonist stares there awkwardly with their gas mask on.
Because of course I do.
Because that's what you do when you're the protagonist. But that's been a thing that I have noted about it. I was really expecting an edgy, you're the guy that's going to kill everybody story because you're vampires with the gas masks and you stick your big monster hand inside people that comes out of your coat and pull their blood out. No, that's just unfortunately how you have to live, and you're just like, I guess I just got to deal with it. Maybe we got to find a better way to live so we ain't got to do this anymore. That'd be great.
Right, okay. I've just lost the plot now with monster chest hands. Yeah,
your coat that you wear is your only armor piece, and depending on the coat you wear, it determines what type of a big ferocious attack you do when you do a backstab, like in Bloodborne, how your hand would turn into a wolf claw, and you just stick it up somebody's butt.
Oh my!
The wolf claw is variable depending on what coat you're wearing.
Okay.
And we'll end the discussion of Code, or the quick summarization of my first impressions of Code Vein, with a positive note, and that's one aspect of their gameplay that deviates very, very much so from the Souls series and gives it a bit of a unique flair. Now, this is only applicable in solo play. You have to turn the AI off for this to matter at all. But you can change your class on the fly, even in the field. You don't even have to rest and respawn the enemies to do it. You can equip whatever class you want at any time. Now, your stock of Ichor that you get from attacking enemies will go down every time you do this, but you can build that back up by beating on people. And each of these classes has unique active abilities and unique passives to them But if you have a passive in a class that you really don't like to use, but that passive is really, really good, you can just run around as that class and make use of that passive for about 30 or 40 kills, and you'll unlock it for use with all other classes.
Okay, that's
and as long as that ability that you get that you've mastered is used with a class that meets its base stat requirements, you can use it on whatever class you want. I mean, you can't use like Fireball on Fighter because the Fighter class doesn't have enough intellect to use Fireball. But you can use Fireball with the Ranger class because they have enough intellect to use it. It's just going to be very costly. So you can totally mix and match these classes together like that, and I thought that was really cool. And I like this system a lot because it encourages you to experiment and play around with all the new classes you get. And there's something like 40 classes you can pick from that you unlock as you go through the game.
That's a lot
and
of
you
classes.
you unlock a new class every time you find a new character and get their memories. And you find fragments of their memories out in the world. When you complete the set, you can unlock all their abilities to purchase. And you have to make a decision when you're going to level up. Do you want to level up? And leveling up is linear in this game. You don't pick stats to invest in. Or do you want to purchase abilities that you can unlock and use in all the other classes? So I like this system a lot. I think it's very interesting and encourages experimentation with mix and match. And it encourages you to do grinding as different classes that you wouldn't normally play, and maybe you find abilities in those classes you weren't initially paying attention to, but after mashing the buttons for a bit to try and get one ability mastered, you see another one you like and want to get mastered. So it gets into a nice feedback loop with that, where you're just cycling between classes to see what all these cool abilities do and what you can mix and match them with. So yeah, that is my first impressions of Code Vein. That is the new hotness video game right now that just came out. So hopefully that is useful to some of y'all that are looking at it. And also, we're not IGN, we actually play the game.
Yes. It's going to be a qualifier. Hey, it's terrible that that's actually has to be a qualifier.
Yeah.
Yes,
you don't need to play a video game to review it. What are you talking about? Haven't you seen all of the talk about how people want to basically every game to have Death Stranding's super easy mode?
Incidentally, Death Stranding released a new trailer today too.
Yeah, but is it any more comprehensible than any of the others?
Nope. There's a giant hole, and then apparently some guy getting attacked, and then a big Titan thing stands up at the end, and that's it. No idea what's going on. This is going to have to be probably the most incomprehensible game going.
So he probably he played a Yoko Taro game and he decided, I can do that.
I can out-weird the Yoko Taro.
No, you can't.
You can't. I don't know though. He's giving him a good run for his money at least. Alrighty, we have some news.
Did we have an email? Did anybody check?
I did not. I was too busy making sure YouTube didn't catch fire again.
But yeah, I will check the emails. We do not have an email.
No, I didn't think we did. Alright, so, news. Let's us have a look. Alright, well, seeing as though we've been talking about Monster Hunter all day, let's talk about Monster Hunter.
Okay.
Just find the right article. Here we go. So we've got a few news bits, nuggets, I suppose, about what's coming up. First and foremost is a nuggets. Yes. First and foremost is a crossover with Resident Evil.
What do you mean, not Fate?
It is not Fate.
Why isn't it?
Go and dress your Palico in the Legiana set already. And pretend it's Saber. It's not too far off, actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. Just the wig is kind of weird.
But yeah, we have Resi.
Yeah. So it looks like you're going to be able to get Leon and Claire costumes, and I'm not sure. I think they might be using Sword and Shield with their for their moves. Can't really tell because we can't see them in action though.
It's a weird fit, I have to say.
I would have put them down as dual blades, honestly, but yeah. Anyway,
Well,
there's
they got
also
the machete
zombie emotes
What?
you can unlock.
There's plenty of bow guns.
Yeah, Bowgun would have worked.
And people would actually use that as well.
Yeah,
Like if they could have a bow gun that actually looked like a gun.
the Resi Bowgun. So yeah, that's it. We also have the results and actually the videos for both the weapon design and the Palico armor design costume. Unfortunately, against what I voted for, the winner of the weapon design is the Black Eagle, which is a charge blade, which is actually really cool.
But it's still a charge blade.
It is a charge blade, but it's kind of got this black feather effect going on the shield that when you use a super attack, it spreads its wings. And
So
it
it's
actually
charge
looks really cool in action. I voted for the Rocket Fist gun lance. Because, I mean, Rocket Fist.
I voted for Muscular.
Yeah. I can see that. The winner of the Wiggler, the Palico set is the Wiggler costume, which is essentially a pot with the Wiggler hat sticking out of it, and that's your Palico's costume. This is the superior costume to everything. You've got to, I think you've actually really just got to sit down and watch the reveal for that one, the Wiggler costume, because it is suitably ridiculous.
Well, I mean, until they release a costume that allows you to properly dress your Palico as a Dodogama, that is.
Yeah, the Dodogo armor doesn't really do the job. But at least this time around, there are a few Palico costumes which are really dumb looking in a good way and still viable to use. Sadly, the previous one, you can't really upgrade your Palico armors, so if you find a set you really like, it's probably going to be suboptimal.
Look, come on, does anybody really pay attention to their Palico?
Not really.
I do, because he needs cravats.
Your Palico already has all of the cravats.
Not anymore. He's wearing a bucket.
Oh, need to fix that.
I'll get on that, and when he's not at like the middle of the X-Pac's difficulty curve.
Yeah. My Palico is actually dressed like a soldier at the moment. He's, well, as a hunter anyway. In the Glavenus armor. So yeah, there's more interesting stuff coming up for Monster Hunter. And it's all free!
Which is the best price. I approve of this price.
It is the
More
absolute
things
best
should
price.
be this price.
Alright. Let me see what else to talk about. Something else incredibly silly. We'll talk about the Colonel Sanders game probably shortly, but in the meantime, Wendy's is also jumping on this bandwagon. That's American Wendy's, not Australian Wendy's, which is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, burgers, not ice cream. And hot dogs.
We have both.
You have both?
Yes, we have both. It's quite confusing.
Yeah, I bet. So, instead of doing a very, very odd visual novel, Wendy's has done basically a D&D ripoff.
Whoever is the marketing guy at Wendy's is like the only guy that has a clue what they're doing in these corporations with the modern day internet.
Whoever it is a mad genius.
I love them so much.
So when I saw that Wendy's was making a game, I'm thinking, okay, it's a visual novel about crap posting.
Yeah.
But it's not. Instead, it's not just a module, by the way. This is a full rulebook, adventure, bestiary, the whole bit.
Yeah. Never forget, this is the same Wendy's that, in response to a competitor trying to take a jab at Wendy's, just told them their mom's a hoe.
Yes. All right. So the plot for it is apparently you are in the land of Fresh Tovia, and belong to one order: the order of the chicken, the order of the beef, or the order of the sides. So, order of the chicken is your rogues, order of the beef is warriors, and sides is mages. Reasons.
Well, because rogues are chicken,
Roads are chickens, apparently. So,
warriors are
yeah.
beefcakes,
And wizards
and
are sides,
well,
apparently.
they was lurk off to the side.
I guess. So, yeah, and apparently you go on adventures to do things which involve frozen beef, apparently.
Well, that's their favourite jab at McDonald's.
Yes, they freeze their beef.
Frozen beef.
So they've made their jab into an entire game, I guess. So I kind of want to play this. It just looks completely ridiculous. Especially I want to know what the spell called Big Spoon does.
It's gives you a really big bowl of chili and a big spoon to eat it with.
Probably.
They serve chili at Wendy's.
Yeah, my mother gets it all the time.
Is it actually good, is the question.
I doubt it. It's fast food.
Because that's the sort of thing, like fast food chili sounds like the sort of thing that would make your bowels explode.
Yeah, it sounds like Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like you're in for a bad time.
Yep.
But
Get very familiar with the porcelain god. So this is apparently a thing. I kind of actually just want to play this. It looks completely absurd.
I would have to look at it to see what I could do with it. So might have to do a few things to make it more playable. But
Just tweak the rules a bit.
I could see myself poking around with it.
If at the very least you just poke around in the world and all of the fast food puns.
Oh, I love reading other RPG systems to get ideas.
Yeah.
So it's a fun thing to do all the time, even if it's something silly like Wendy's.
So, the fast food industry kind of left gaming alone for a while, but now they're coming back, and they're coming back in the most ridiculous possible ways. I love it. Like they will make an appearance sooner or later.
Oh, you said I'm loving it, or how much you love it.
That was a pun I hadn't actually caught.
I just had to be sure you were aware.
You're both criminals.
So yeah, there's actually, if you go watch JonTron's video on food games, he's done a 2-parter which is really good, but only really scratches the surface of just how cringe-inducing these previous games were. But yeah, if they're going to be ridiculous, I fully embrace it. At least it's better than things like anything with the Nard in it. Or the Noid, rather.
The what?
The Noid.
Wasn't he the Pizza Hut guy or the Domino's guy?
Domino's.
I didn't know that there was a...
Apparently he was a thing that really hated pizza, but insisted on saving pizza. I don't know.
He was a 90s little cartoon mascot for Domino's.
Yeah.
That's really strange.
Generally, you can take the entire gaming influence for fast food, wrap it up in a big ball, and just slap the 90s on it. And then lock it in a very deep and dark cellar.
I see.
Because, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that's just better left untouched. Along with, things like the Burger King ads with the king walking around. Which also got a game, by the way.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh, right, the sneaking game. I had that game on 360 because
Why?
Because they literally were giving it away when you went to Burger King.
Yeah, where the thing was to sneak up on people and force feed them Burger King.
That doesn't sound very civil.
There was a whole bunch of ads at the time, which I've seen in the States, where he would do that. He had the Burger King sneaking up to people and he would present them in the creepiest possible way a burger.
Yeah, you just pop out of a trash can like, oh, here's a Burger King burger.
Yeah.
You totally want this, right?
Why are you running?
Please come back. I'm lonely.
Oh my goodness.
At least
So,
fast
yeah.
food now, when they advertise, they just say, hey, we're a soulless corporation. Eat our imitation food.
There's a meme going around right now. Whenever these brands try to be relatable like this, it's just a crab with laser eyes that says "Shut up, brand."
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The only one I can forgive is Wendy's because they did it first and they did it best. Because
Yeah.
it's clearly just a guy that spends his time crap posting on Reddit all day that runs that social media account, so he gets it.
He gets it. Yeah. Alright, who wants to pick the next article?
Fall hasn't picked something in a while. You can pick one.
Hold on, okay. So let's see, what do I like here?
Professionalism.
I don't know, I just don't really like most of these. That's the thing.
That's understandable.
One thing that did catch my eye earlier in the week is that they're adding TRH to Assassin's Creed.
This is the ugliest looking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, since the actual TRH.
Since the actual TRH.
But just by the by, is that reference something anybody gets?
I mean, we get it, but we were around when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that retarded horse. I believe we've got, if you go to our Discord, the video for it is in Vigigames? Where was
I
that?
think I linked it a while ago. Yeah,
You did. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, for those that don't know, TB, back when he was starting off on YouTube with the WoW content, and he was still doing Blue Please at the same time, made a little parody video about the paid mount system that came into WoW where you could buy a mount with real money. And it's like, if somebody has that retarded horse, the Sparkle Pony, then you knew not to group with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you too can pretend you killed Algernon. So this one coming to Assassin's Creed is some sort of ghastly unicorn Pegasus thing, which seems to glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
It's just astonishing to me how ugly it is. Like we'll have to post this in the show chats. It's a sort of a visual gag, unless Fern can put it up on screen or something. I don't know.
I'm doing that. Last time I tried that, the whole system decided it was going to freak out. To do that at in live whatchamacallit. I just plop it there. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, why do they think that? But this is what I thought about TRH at the time that TRH was contemporary. Was that why would anybody spend money on that? But it turns out, anybody who went to Dalaran would see exactly how many people wanted to spend money on that.
Oh, there's an
And it was not a small number; it was a large number.
But at least TRH doesn't have those eyes.
Those haunting eyes.
Those terrifying, soul-searing eyes. Like, there's a reason why horses' eyes are normally very dark, is because when you actually look at them up close, they're extremely weird.
This is not a natural sort of horse. No, sir, it is not.
No, it is not.
But yeah, so I was not aware that they were still trying to farm out content to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I thought that they had jumped the shark on that when they nerfed the EXP gain rate to force you to spend money at the store if you wanted to keep progressing. Like, I thought that would be enough for them to just nope. But yeah, I suppose if nothing else, they haven't announced another Assassin's Creed yet, have they?
Not yet.
Yeah, so maybe they are going to stop trying to annualize it. That would be nice.
They should have done that years ago.
Yeah, I hope that some other companies decide to follow suit if they have stopped. But yeah, from all accounts, it just wasn't a very good game. On top of all of that, like it was not good. It was that series seems to have just gotten steadily worse since about Assassin's Creed 2, with the notable exception of Yar.
Yeah.
But the only thing anybody remembers about that game was naval combat, and I watched my flatmate play the end of it, and it's got another one of those weird Assassin's Creed Gecko endings.
Yeah, nobody cares about Assassin's Creed 4 for it being Assassin's Creed. It just has really, really good naval combat.
And then you have to go and work at Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody loves.
Nobody cares about that either. They just know that, oh, look, I could be a pirate on a pirate ship. The naval combat's actually good.
Yeah, so here's this game that's all about just the good bits of Assassin's Creed 4. Are you happy now?
You say that no one remembers that, but it's not really strictly true, is it? The fact is that people don't remember it because it's not notable, but at the time people were very upset about it because it was just such a tumor on the rest of the game. It was something that went out of its way to prevent you doing things you enjoyed.
Yep. Just why, Ubi? Why?
They Ubi.
They Ubi.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
But it seems like the last two Assassin's Creed games have had that ridiculous leveling system in it for some reason.
Yeah, well, it's like with most games that went through that phase of everyone wants RPG elements, or to ape an MMO, or to have resource gathering and crafting in games where they just don't belong there. Sort of.
How about we do what Assassin's Creed says in the title: assassinate people?
No, you've got to fight pitched battles as a Spartan soldier who just happens to be female for some reason.
Yeah, so no more faffing about a rooftop, sneaking around and assassinating people. It's always been very out in the open. Now,
yeah, I don't know why they tried to go so woke with that game, because that sort of thing always ends up biting you in the backside. And I'm not even talking about go woke, go broke. I'm talking about you hit the end of your leash as far as what you can reasonably do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they made a huge deal about, oh, you can make a character who's gay, except that the whole premise of the Assassin's Creed series requires progeny.
Yeah.
And a strict line of descent all the way to the present day. That's the entire basis for the game. And I guess they had just forgotten that that's how the game works. So when they actually had to put in the part of the plot line that explains how descendants get born, their woke virtue signaling turned into woke outrage, and they got burned by the community that hadn't paid to play the game to begin with.
Naturally.
But we're more than willing to provide an abundance of black PR.
It's all they really ever seem to provide. Alrighty. This is not good. Ari, I think the next one is yours.
Sure. We can go to mine. I gotta go back to the right tab. Okay, we can grab one of mine. So this is tangentially related to the issues we've been having on YouTube. So Twitch has just got up and decided that you can't comment or post chats on videos on demand on Twitch anymore. So you can't comment on archive stuff on Twitch. That's really weird.
I'm surprised anybody cares. Like, as far as I understood, the whole point of Twitch was to be a softcore porn service.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
So this has drawn a whole lot of uproar, particularly from people that I talk to on a semi-casual basis. And I didn't know anybody did this, but this is apparently a big deal.
Okay.
Huh.
So
Could have fooled me.
I don't know why, but it's a thing that's happening. But this just reminded me of all the problems we've been having with YouTube lately and how they keep changing stuff and taking away stuff you used to be able to do.
Yes.
So yeah, I threw that in there for that. That was more of a newslet that I thought was weird.
It's a lot of newslets this week.
Yep.
So,
So we have, yeah. So
yeah. If it was just live chat on videos and they're saying they were getting rid of that, I don't think I'd care much, but apparently people really like it.
yeah, I don't know.
On the popular streams, it goes past too fast if you actually read. On less popular streams, it's cancer.
Yeah. So
It's unreadable cancer.
yeah. So that's the thing. Let's see. A newslet that I actually read backwards last week. We finally got a reason why Troy Baker was not reprising his role as Reese.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Gearbox is in a state that's a right-to-work state, and they don't observe unions. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And they don't want to, so they didn't. And that's why we don't have Troy Baker coming in to play Reese in Borderlands 3. Because he really wanted his union rates. For some reason, even though he could totally negotiate for more as an individual, because he's freaking Troy Baker.
Well, maybe he's just, he loves his union for whatever reason. Like because there are a lot of them who are just like super in the tank for their union. And the thing is, like, if he is a member of the union and he does union work outside of the union, they will set up a campaign against him the same way they did for Vic. He would be the next Vic. There will be a whole bunch of people who come forward, accuse him of sexual assault and rape, and then he'll be in the exact same position. That's what would happen if he went against the union.
Yeah. So it's just we've had a lot of people that were wondering why, and it seems like we finally have an answer.
The unions are basically the mafia. Like, they're running a protection racket.
Hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I can see it.
It's not too terribly inaccurate.
No, it is not.
But
it's just like you can have a legitimate business and you can have the mafia. It's the same way that you can have a union that does what a union actually is supposed to do, or you can have a union that acts the way every union actually does. So you can have the Yakuza that spend all their time doing charitable work, but how many Yakuza actually do?
Yeah.
I mean, they are known for occasionally doing nice things, but that's not their job.
So yeah, that's a thing. I thought I actually read it backwards last week and thought he had stood up to them trying to force union rates on him. No, it's the other way around.
No, the only reason that he's gotten as big as he is because he's got the unions propping him up.
Yeah. He's just like Bryce Papenbrook in that regard, which is a big reason I don't like Bryce. By the way, is because he's a union monkey that just rides off the union's coattails on everything. So yeah, that's a thing. That's another small one that I found. Let's see. Was there any other ones that are worth talking about in the news slits of the ones I was just kind of dumping in there the last minute before the show? This one's a funny one. We'll keep going. We'll just do my batch of newslets that I found in the last minute. We need content dig.
Go for it.
Blizzard apparently really wants their characters in Smash. They can be quoted as Kaplan, of all people, is like, to the Smash Brothers team, whatever character you want, you can pick one. We love them all. They're all our babies. You can have any single one of them. We have 31 to choose from. Tracer's our girl. Tracer's our mascot. She'd be my first choice. There's a lot of great runners-up. I think people can immediately see Doomfist gameplay applying to Smash, but if it were up to me, I'd like to see Tracer.
It'll be a Tracer if it's anyone. No,
That's
there's-
super cringy. Just FYI.
yes, it
I know.
is. Now, I can see two reasons why they'd want to do this. First, as creatives, it's just really nice seeing your characters in that kind of mainstream environment. But, this is the more likely one because I'm cynical. It's money.
It's
Well, it's always been
promotion.
about the money O's. Like
Hmm.
Blizzard hasn't been about fun for a long time. The only glimmer that they have ever given of that in recent times is WoW Classic.
Yeah.
Like
So-
the entirety of Overwatch is this most farcically cynical cash grab ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's
So-
a mountain of reused assets. No effort goes into the class balancing. The entire community is imploded and is famous for exactly one thing, which is being the most toxic community on the internet. And on top of all of that, the entire esports scene was generated artificially, and concordantly with that, has collapsed because it was not organic.
So, from a financial point, look at just internal on Nintendo's part. They've had all these franchises they've put into Smash, which suddenly had a massive increase in sales. Fire Emblem being the chief among them.
Smash is the reason Fire Emblem came to the West. Period.
Yeah, it is. So I can definitely see Blizzard wanting to get in on that gravy train.
Yeah, it's fairly obvious what their motivations are. The point of linking this particular little spurge, though, was just the cringy "What are you doing, Kaplan?" quote that we have smack in the middle of it.
Oh my goodness, it's so horrible. Like, how could you sound like more of a butt kisser? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievably cringe. Gracious me, I can't believe anybody would say such a thing. It's just shameful.
It's just
Just-
embarrassing.
I died laughing as soon as I saw it.
Ah,
I'm
well.
like, we got to point this out.
Speaking of really embarrassing, let's talk about Kotaku.
The last little news slip. This is not confirmed, by the way. It fits in Kotaku's MO for how they operate. And if it is true, it's hilarious. And a lot of people are saying it is, but we don't have any for realsies official proof before we actually go spreading rumors. But apparently, to segue from the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, he was approached by Kotaku, according to him, and they said he could quote Kotaku's very negative review in the advertising for the Kentucky Fried Chicken dating sim for the low price of $1,500.
Yep, 1,000.
Everything about this sounds weird and irrational to me.
Yeah, but it's Kotaku.
Like you need to have people quote you as an outlet like that in order to have any reputation.
Yeah. Kotaku.
And furthermore, like that's just like why do you think that they would bother? Well, I don't. Everything about this just makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know how to interpret any of it. It's very strange.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird one, but it's apparently a thing that's being claimed, and Kotaku, as far as I know, has done nothing to deny it.
I think
So-
that's
Very weird.
the best bit of all.
Superbly weird.
Oh, dear.
But I could totally see Kotaku being that stupid.
I
Yeah,
could totally
yeah.
get it, yeah.
It is in character, if nothing else.
They've done dumber.
And they also, I guess, are desperate for cash. Possibly they're bordering on going out of business again.
Again.
You know, most people don't have an again when they're going out of business.
Yeah, you're out of business and you're out of business. That's it.
Oh, dearie me.
Kotaku. Please,
So,
please fold.
yeah, just give up Kotaku. You had your fun. Okay, so that's my batch of newslets that I dug up in the mad dash before the show when I realized we didn't have anything in the article list.
Right. The one more topic that I had to mention was that Tencent is going to become the majority shareholder of Funcom. So I guess
More of the same, really, I think.
yeah. Does anybody Tencent doesn't own at this point?
No, pretty much no.
So I'm surprised that they didn't already own Funcom based on what I've seen of the monetization system in Secret World, which smells very Tencent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's how it is now.
So it's just a minor one, that one, but I don't expect we'll see any changes at all. Except they might shut down a few things.
I mean, I suppose what Tencent represents is a huge cash injection.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably going to be some new title coming from them at some point in the future.
Yeah. We'll wait and see. That's if everything goes well. But I don't trust Tencent at all.
You ought not to trust Tencent.
All right. I think that is about everything.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't see anything else. I think we got it all.
Right. Let us start wrapping up. We're actually going to be finishing up roughly on time today.
Yep. So, closing comments go, I guess.
More Monster Hunter. Go play it. Or read it. Take your pick.
I hate Vespoids. I hate them. I hate them.
I hate them. Stupid birds.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that they're way more aggressive in the game now than they ever were before.
Yeah.
I've actually been attacked less by Vespoids since Iceborne came out, but I haven't fought in Rotten Vale that much, which is where they always get me.
All right. Do the thing.
I think we're done, folks. Email topic of the week is any of the stuff we talked about. All right. We will see y'all next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.